Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Derek DuPont, storyteller, musician, and brand marketing lead here at Accepted.
And I'm Erica Spires, actor in New York City, coach with My College Audition, and marketer at Accepted.
Today we have Jeri Gale from the Music Center's Spotlight program with us.
And Jeri shares with us how she organized and optimized her program to swiftly transition from in-person to online auditions.
She also gives some great tips about how she's found success partnering with Accepted with our marketing program and with our new tool AuditionRoom as well.
We think you'll find her energy and passion for the arts contagious. So let's jump right in. Welcome, Jeri. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk about my experience.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about Music Center Spotlight. For those people who've never heard of it, what is it and what makes it special?
Well, the Music Center Spotlight program is a scholarship and arts training program for high school students in Southern California. And each year we give away over $100,000 in scholarship money to students at all level of participation. And oh my gosh, our alumni, it's a pretty illustrious group. Misty Copeland, Josh Groban, Adam Lambert, Lindsay Mendez, who won the Tony Award a couple years ago. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. We have students who are performing with the New York Philharmonic, American Ballet Theater, Los Angeles Philharmonic, LA Opera, the Metropolitan Opera. I mean, they're concertizing all over the world, and they're on Broadway. They're in, dance companies and on television series, and they're doing amazing, amazing work. But the thrust of the program is really on all the students who participate in our program and the value that they get from the experience of auditioning, from receiving feedback from our judges, from the engagement that they receive from our staff, from coaching and mentoring, and helping them get ready for the next steps in their lives, no matter what it is, no matter if it's becoming a doctor or it's being on stage or whatever it is that is of interest to them. There is a place for this program in their lives as they go through high school, and they learn about interviewing and auditioning and really engaging with people, no matter what they're doing. I think this generation, and maybe everybody, we're so used to being on our phones and looking down. It's just, how do you walk into a room and say, "Hi, my name is," and talk about yourself and be engaged in your life and engaged in other people. And it's sort of like becoming a lost art form. And we do a lot of work around that area.
That's really cool. I think that, we all know the arts are such a strong component in just building life skills in general. And I think it sounds like you guys really focus on that too, which is really cool. Just a well-rounded just curriculum and just experience for these kids coming through the program. And how
Yeah.
did you first get involved with the Music Center? How long have you been with the Music Center?
This is my 20th year, believe it or not.
Wow.
Before that, I worked part-time for the Music Center, but I was an actor, and I'd been on a television series, I'd done hundreds of commercials, and I'd been in a professional ballet dancer before that. So I danced with many ballet companies and was on a Ford Foundation scholarship and studied at the School of American Ballet in New York City Ballet. So my background, and then as I became an actor, I also went into singing. So I had a background in the arts, and I really wanted to make a transition to helping students, in particularly a group of teenagers. That group from uh, 13 to 18, where you really become serious about the work that you're doing and the path that you want to be on. And especially as a young artist, I think it's challenging for people who have never been on that road to understand what it's like to be a young artist and to be so focused about what you want to do with your life. And I just felt that was the area that I could give the most to. Uh, so that's kind of how I really started thinking about what I wanted to do. And the Music Center is in Los Angeles. It's the third largest performing arts organization in the country, along with the Kennedy Center and Lincoln Center. And I grew up here, going to my first ballet here, and being in the Children's Festival, which is, at 10 years old, that's what I did. So I had a great love for the Music Center. We are home to uh, the Los Angeles Opera, the LA Philharmonic Center Theater Group, and the Master Chorale. And so we have four theaters there: the Walt Disney Concert Hall, and the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, the Amundsen, and the Mark Taper Forum, as well as all the programming we do at Graham Park. So I knew I had to be at the center of what was going on in Los Angeles at a big performing arts organization. That was where I felt I could do the most good. And this program was something that I thought was just spectacular, and I knew I could make a difference in. And there was a job opening, and I got hired, and I am grateful every single day. I'm alive that I get to work at the Music Center, and I get to work with the students and the parents and the teachers that I get to, as well as organizations from across the country as well.
Can you tell us a bit about those students? What kind of students do you target at Music Center Spotlight? And I know that you've used accepted as part of those efforts to get really specific with the location and the types of students you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, we are only open in seven, actually eight counties in Southern California. So when you think about it, it's a small group. It's not all of California, but there is such a concentration of talent in Southern California. It's incredible. I just got a list of students who became winners and merit awards and honorable mentions with Young Arts, and who become presidential scholars. And the list is a lot of them are come from Spotlight. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited to see where these kids are going. We target students of all skill levels. This program is not just for the best, of the best, if you want to say. That's really not what we're about. Our thrust and our mission is geared towards students of all skill levels. If you have a passion in the arts, there's a place for you in Spotlight. So our
I
age,
love
as long
that.
as, yeah, it's
That's so
fantastic.
great.
Yeah, as long as you are in high school, you can be involved in Spotlight. If you can sing happy birthday, you can apply to our vocal category. If you can play chopsticks, you can apply to, well, you probably can't do that, um, but we want you to know that whether you're just starting out or you're at the top of your game, you have a place in this program to participate in.
That's great. Yeah, I love, just like what Erica said, just having that mentality of just being able to support everyone wherever they are. And it's like a lot of programs are starting to think about that in a different way, and just being able to be accessible and just available to wherever you are, and knowing that you can you can amend your programming and you can amend your curriculum to be able to help people, but just being able to pick them up and keep them moving.
Yeah, and
So-
right now, especially this moment in time where the arts can be a catalyst for civic and social change,
Mm.
I think it's so important that we want to open up to a wider audience and allow students the opportunity to really grow and learn and have a voice in what's going on.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think that gets into what we really want to get into here is, what about this year, right? This has been a
What
crazy.
about this year?
Yeah, nothing, right? Nothing different. I mean, all of our arts partners are just, it's just been a crazy year. A lot of things have gotten turned upside down. A lot has had to change. A lot of people have had to adapt. And frankly, a lot of things have just, it's been a lot of just a downtrend and different enrollments and what it looks like. But we do know that there's been some programs that have had some interesting stories and outcomes out of this, as far as whether it's accessibility, things being virtual, or just getting creative about how to do things virtually and make it work. And I know that you've got an interesting story with this, and we'd love to hear a little bit about what this year's been like for you and just navigating it and how you've gotten here.
Well, this year started out just like any other year. It was nice. Everything was going smoothly. And then we come up against our semifinal auditions, which really start taking place in March. And the day before our semifinal auditions were to take place, all went into lockdown. And it's kind of amazing when you think about the week before. I was hugging people. We had our last master class in ballet, I think, and we were all like sweaty and hugging each other, and it was amazing. And I had the artistic director of the Boston Ballet out here teaching our class, and then a few days later, go home. So we had to scramble, and we there was no audition room at that point, and we had to call the students up and say, get into your house, get your camera, get your cell phone, get whatever you have up, and film yourself, and thank God for Get Accepted, because we had joined the organization a few years ago. I am so grateful for everybody at Get Accepted annoying me to, I think it was Brian at that point, annoying me to join Get Accepted, which, because for years I was like saying, no, we do live auditions. No, we don't need you guys. Sorry. Bye bye. I'll call you if it ever changes. And then a few years ago, something happened, and we shifted as an organization, and we decided, and the program was growing larger, so we decided to have our first point of entry for students to have them filmed and have a database. And I called, rather sheepishly, I called Get Accepted and said, when you guys called me a little while ago? And I said no. And well, now I'm saying yes. So we need help. So I'm so grateful for that kind of that Get Accepted kept asking me. I mean, you guys were so amazing, asking me every year, do you want to try it? What do you think? And finally I was like, I'm begging, then I was like, okay, you guys, let's do this. So we started out just having a database, and our first point of entry, the students would submit videos. And I remember at that time when we joined a few years ago, people were like, oh, no, we don't do that. Everything is live. And I'm like, okay, you know, okay, we'll see you soon. And and so we had been on. So we, thank goodness, already had something, a foundation in place from Get Accepted. Gratefully had a foundation in place so that when lockdown happened and we started having auditions online, we had a foundation there. It was easy for the kids to upload their videos into Get Accepted, and we were able to have our semifinal auditions go as on planned, go on target. And then we filmed our live virtual finale. And then after that, we took a breath and we said, okay, now what? Because I remember we thought when we were sent home, it was going to be like, oh, we'll be home for a couple weeks. We'll be back, you know. And
Right.
then the weeks dragged on and months and months. And then I remember calling Get Accepted, panicked, like, what are we going to do? Because now we knew we weren't going to come back in any way um, for live auditions. And again, I remember other organizations going, well, we'll be back in January. And I sort of didn't think that was going to happen. So I called up Get Accepted and I said, you guys have got to figure something out. And Jeri and all of you at Get Accepted were so smart and ahead of the curve and called me back and said, we've got something called AuditionRoom. You want to try it? So, yeah, we had to pivot and shift really quickly as an organization. We also, like everyone else, had to shave down our budgets. So we had to think, what are we going to do? How are we going to do all this? And I am so grateful. I don't know how we would have done our program without Get Accepted. I don't know. It would have been very, very difficult if if we were able to keep the program running at all without Get Accepted, and specifically without Audition Room.
So I'm sure you had to change your expectations a little bit. And normally you probably get a certain amount of applicants. And this year you knew it might be a little bit different. How did that change?
Wow. Uh, this has been in 20 years the most stressful period of my professional life. Uh, we really thought we would get maybe 400 students to apply to the program. When I was doing a lot of outreach, I noticed an enormous amount of apathy, and I noticed an enormous amount of depression
Mm.
from the students, because doing Zoom presentations and talking to the kids, and it was scary. I really was very concerned, and I still am, about students and about teachers and what they're going through. I was very sensitive and aware of what was going on. And so we sort of set a goal. Our first goal was 1,000 students, because we normally get 15 to 1,600 students. So our goal was 1,000. But as we were going on, we had to lower that expectation to, we decided maybe 800. And by the time we were kind of going through the weeks, I reached out to Get Accepted to the marketing team, and they they're superhuman people. The marketing people at Get Accepted are they're my heroes and my heroines. They took us and sat us down and came up with a plan that went far beyond my expectations of what we thought we were going to be able to do. And although they tried to manage my expectations, they were very positive about what they thought they could do, along with our marketing department. But we worked for the first time across the lines, across departments, with Get Accepted, with the Music Center, with my team at Spotlight, to come up with a robust marketing plan that I never thought would have been possible. And as my colleague and I sat there watching the numbers, and we got to 800, which was about 2 weeks before the deadline, we thought to ourselves, well, 800 is a respectable number in a global pandemic year. Be happy with that, Jeri. Just be happy. But I still was a little anxious. I have something I keep called the anxiety report, which charts day by day when the students start applying. Well, I was like so full of anxiety and so anxious about what was going to happen. Like, we only had 800, like half of the number of the students we have. Well, as I said, the Get Accepted marketing team, I don't know what happened. They ate their Wheaties and they like kicked it up notches. And by the time our 2 week deadline happened and our extended deadline, we got to over 1,500 students. It's the third largest year that we've had in the history of the program. And I totally believe that we would never have been able to do that without Get Accepted, without the marketing team, and their efforts. I'm still in awe of what they did, and how they kicked it up into high gear and brought us to the finish line. I'm so grateful.
Wow, that's so cool. I love to hear those stories, and it's true. I mean, our marketing team is pretty amazing, and I think it's really cool because your program is very unique in the way that it is so geo specific, and I think that's one of the really cool things about our system and our network, our recruitment network, is that you can get that specific. And I think that this is such a great example of the power of that, and so it's great to hear that feedback.
I, you know, it's funny that you say that, because one of the things that I think is the unsung hero of Get Accepted is the recruitment aspect. And I I am on that recruitment thing like white on rice. I would get up every morning. I would open my recruitment app, the application, and I would just hunt through like a stalker almost.
It's kind of
But
fun, isn't it?
it's fun. It really
Yeah.
is fun. And I have a whole way of doing it. And I don't think people utilize that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think people utilize that the way that they could. It's remarkable how that recruitment thing works. I love it.
I agree. I use it all the time and I have so much fun. Like just imagining if I were at one of these programs, how like the different ways I would filter to find like my specific kind of applicants. And yeah, it's like such a robust Facebook meets Excel meets LinkedIn, you know,
Yeah.
like it just has a little bit of everything that you need to find specific candidates.
Yeah.
Did that help? In what way did your recruitment network usage change this year? Did that change at all as well?
Yeah. It definitely, one of the things I loved is that Haley and the rest of the marketing team, they they really like I'm sure they found this for other organizations, but there was a lot of hand holding and they walk you through every step of the process. And that was really important to me. I was afraid that when I first, got involved with Get Accepted, that it would be a thing like, okay, here's the program, you're on your own. But I find that throughout the entire year, Emily and Haley and all of them, Bryn, they literally walk me through every aspect of the program, no matter where I am in terms of um, helping me kind of make like wade in the water of every little thing that I need to get done. Whether it's a technical question, whether it's an artistic question, or adding something, or adding a feature, or if they can't add it, taking it into consideration. There have been so many things. I love that Jeri really listens. The head of the organization really listens to what I need. He's come out here to California, and we've had breakfast. And what do you need? And what do you want? What would make your life easier? And it's like, yeah, who does that? That's incredible. That's an incredible uh, thing that the head of an organization who what, does Jeff Bezos do that from Amazon? Does he sit down with me and find out, Jeri, what do you want? No, but Jeri does. He wants to know what would make our lives easier. And I really have so much respect for him. And he's done that every year. And the organization has reached out and said, what would you like? And if it doesn't work, they don't say, no, thank you. They say, well, we don't have that function right now, but we have meetings, we have team meetings, and we're going to talk about it and see what we can do in the future. And inevitably those things show up, to make our lives easier and to make it easier for the students. And that's really what all of us want when we are recruiting people to be in our programs. We want this to be an easy process for everybody. So I'm so grateful for that. um, Wait, you had asked one thing and I don't think I answered it because what was it? Was that it?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Essentially, I was just asking, like, if your usage with the
Oh,
recruitment network
the
had
recruitment. Yeah.
changed for this particular
Yeah,
year.
it definitely has changed. My use of recruitment has changed in that I was panicked this year. And so before it was like, well, the kids will come to me. No, this year it was like, Jeri, you have to really get out in front of this situation and be extremely proactive. And the recruitment network was one way to do that. And it's such a great tool. And it was easy to get up and running. And I found it was kind of fun. And it also alleviated my anxiety and my stress a little bit because it was something that I could do. So often I think, especially this year, it was sort of like I was sitting back, kind of at the beginning, kind of like going, what can I do? you know and because of all the tools at my fingertips that Get Accepted had, it was sort of like I felt like I could really get out in front of the problem, and I could find ways to help myself, to help the program, to help my organization. And that was really comforting, and it was calming in a way.
I love
Yeah.
that. It gives you a little sense of control back.
Exactly.
Yep, that's the goal. And I
And
think
for a control freak like me, I needed it.
yeah, and like what you're talking about before about how it seems like a lot of the things that we create sometimes are intuitive to solving the problems of the arts industry in general. I think it speaks a lot to the fact that a lot of us are actually artists as well, and it's the way that this team is built here at Accepted is we find people who are in the arts or have been in places similar to exactly where you are, and
Yeah.
that really comes through. And I think hearing that firsthand is really nice to have that. But it's true that we know the pain points, we know what you're dealing with, and we try to make it as friendly to the arts as possible and as unique to the arts too, was because we know it's a very unique industry.
Yeah, it's a nail biting time right now because I just put up my lobbies and my audition rooms. And I sent out an email yesterday to all the kids with all the instructions. That's the other thing. It's like Jerry sent all of us instructions for the kids and instructions for the adjudicators and instructions for the staff. And it's like, baby steps. It's like mom. It's like mommy showing you how to do this program. And I really appreciate that because I'm really busy. It's not just running a program, but I have to deal with funders and I have to deal with my boss and other projects that I'm involved in. And so to know that I have somebody on my team who's a partner, we're having all these discussions right now at the Music Center about partners and about partnership. And yes, this is a fee for service, but I think of Get Accepted as a partner, a really true partner. They don't just like, I don't just send money to this organization and that's that. As I said before, they go above and beyond what is expected, and I'm so grateful for that to be able to have a team working with me, and I that's how I think of Get Accepted. They are part of my team, and I couldn't do what I do and as well as I do it without having Get Accepted part of that team.
Now, Jerry, you are giving wonderful props to the accepted team, but I also want to give that back to you. And you clearly are an expert at what you do, and you have just such a wonderful spirit about you. For people who are very nervous about either going online for their auditions or for programs in general, what kind of tips would you give them to help ease their minds as you have done this transition? What have you found most helpful?
I think that as an administrator or director, founder, whatever it is that you are of a program, at some point you have to really sit down, evaluate your goals and long-term vision, and as well as what is going to make your life easier. Because this is running a program is not easy, and there are a lot of details that go into running a program. And it, how do I say this? I'm extremely busy in my day-to-day activities. As I said, this is one aspect. Running this kind of program, competition, mentoring, and coaching program is one aspect of what I do. But I do a lot of work with the Music Center in terms of um, marketing and fundraising and writing. So this is so to have something that makes my life more streamlined or streamlines the process and makes my life easier so that I have more control over my time is you can't put a value on that. It's priceless. I couldn't pay enough, to have the peace of mind to know that things are going to go smoothly and as I expect them, because I have a high expectation for my program. And I know that the students, parents, and teachers out there also have an expectation of my program. So I need to make sure that we live up to those expectations. And part of the way that I do that is to make sure that the program runs smoothly. It will not run smoothly unless every little part of it is seamless and has a beginning, a middle, and an end. I think you need to, as an organization, really evaluate your long-term goals, your long-term vision for your program, and really say to yourself, what's going to make my life easier? What's going to make the program the best program it can be? And then you have to jump in. You have to just sort of like have faith and try something that people like myself and very prestigious organizations across the country are using. Why are they using it? That's why I said to myself when I jumped in, I looked at all the organizations that were utilizing the services of a Get Accepted, and I thought, well, if they're, these are the organizations that all of my kids are, after they do Spotlight, they're applying to. Why? These are the best organizations in the country. They're serving the best and the brightest. And what do they know that I don't know? They're utilizing Get Accepted. Something's happening here that I need to pay attention to. And that's why I felt that I needed to be a part of this organization. And I feel like if you are a smaller organization, there's value to here. If you are a large organization, there's value here. I would love to see, much like being on these training sessions this last week. It would be wonderful to be able to reach out to these other organizations. How are you using Get Accepted? What would be, what are you doing that I'm not doing? How are you utilizing it in a way that I should be utilizing it? That would be really a great idea to kind of like cross pollinate us a little bit more. You never know. But yeah, does that answer your question?
That's a great idea too,
That's a
which
great.
I will bring to my boss.
I mean,
This is what I'm talking about.
great. We get credit for that too. We want to thank you so much for your time and also for your optimism. I really appreciate this conversation, and I think it's been great. I speak for both of us that we've really enjoyed chatting with you. And I think just before we sign off here, I'd love to hear from your perspective, working with an organization like this, and talk about the kids. We talk about the artists. What have you done this year that might be different and ways to bring that optimism to the artist and to communicate to them, hey, all hope is not lost. And this is a crazy year. A lot's changing, and the industry is obviously in a very different place right now. But there's still things to be optimistic about, and there's still stuff to look forward to.
That is such a great question. And I think that ultimately age has a lot to do with it. Um, I have been through a lot in my life and have had a lot of experiences, both good and bad, and lots of ups and lots of downs. And we all know as performers, you have to be able to be on that ride and be comfortable with that, and to be able to I think one of the secrets of life is to be able to be okay in uncertainty and to live in that uncertainty, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. And I always say to the students when I do presentations, um, it doesn't seem like it right now, but you are developing muscles from this experience. And they're muscles you couldn't develop any other way than to go through a, a you know, an experience that makes you rise, that makes you pull yourself out, that makes you um, think in a way that you haven't thought of before, and to be supportive not only of yourself, but to be supportive of other people around you, that we lift each other, we help each other up, so that if I'm down, somebody else will help me to lift up. And if that person is down, I'm going to help them to lift up. That's how we lift ourselves up as a society, as a world, as a community. It's vital that we do that. And I'm not going to let you down. And I'm not going to let you, just like you are not going to allow me to be down for very long. And as I said, I think age is just part of it. It's wisdom that you get from having gone through a lot of experiences, and it also makes you a better artist, I think, because that's what you bring to your art and your artistry are these life experiences. The things that we go through add to you as an artist. And I think I always say that to the kids, that just keep this in your bag of tricks. And when you are called upon in a part, in your music, whatever it is, to bring enormous feeling, sensitivity to a role, to a piece of music, to your artwork, that you know what that feels like.
On that note, I think I'd love to just again thank you so much for your time, and we really
You're
appreciate
so welcome. I really mean this. I'm not putting this on. I'm so grateful for the entire team there, and um, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I don't. I really feared that our program could have been shut down for the year had it not been for Get Accepted, that I was so quickly able to shift and pivot to doing all of our work online. Our mastery classes, our auditions, everything is online, applications the entire year.
It's
Um,
great.
I hope we go back to like analog and normal next year, but I don't know.
Yep,
So
yep,
thank you guys. I'm glad I
You're
could
so
help.
welcome.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good luck this
Thanks.
weekend too.